Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Keel from MacPhail Center for Music in Minneapolis, and welcome to our presentation of the MMEA saxophone etudes. This is the alto and tenor etude, and the comments I'd like to give are for your help and listening to what we just performed. And this is a really cool audition piece, offers a lot of great interpretation opportunities for any player who's going to be performing this for the audition. First and foremost, a reminder of the difference in tempos, and it's important to get the tempo, the general tempo, in your head for the andante movement. It's marked as quarter note equals 72, so that should be a goal to hold that and use that slower tempo to really showcase your dynamic abilities and vibrato on the longer notes, and some real passionate playing opportunities in here. So a reminder, for example, of the dynamic opening. So I came up a couple dynamics right within that first two measures. So that's a great opportunity. And you heard me use, on the second measure, third and fourth beat, the high B on the alto saxophone. You heard me use a little vibrato. And vibrato, it's a vocal affectation that really sounds soulful whenever you can use that. So we don't want to overuse the vibrato, but it's really beautiful on this particular etude for the long notes. And by the way, for all the alto and tenor players that are watching and listening, there is one etude, but I chose to do this on alto just by default. But those of you who are tenor performers, the same things apply to you. In the second measure, from the B to the C to the D, I am using the side C. Instead of living with the flop between first and second finger in the left hand, very important. Not that we can't do it smoothly. Using regular fingerings, but is so smooth using the side as I did that time. So that's a great opportunity to use it. I also use it going into the next measure when we have the little double grace note going into the first note of the triplet on beat one. And I'm also using it from the end of the third measure into the beginning of the second line, measure 4. Again, side C. Really makes life easy, so we want to use that. There is crescendos moving in the second line from measure 5 up to the beginning of measure 7. We're going all the way from starting at mezzo piano up to forte. So that's a pretty big dynamic contrast. So you want to ham that up a little bit, all right? And in measure 8, a retard at the very end of the measure. So, okay, that's the andante movement. And a reminder that when we get to the allegro movement, you are going to hear on that recording that I performed on the B ending, which is a little more dramatic version of the basically the same thing, just has some lower octave jumps, lower octave intervallic leaps. So you want to be very cognizant, very aware of the new key signature, the new time signature in the allegro, and yeah, the tempo, because we're going up to roughly quarter note equals 100. So you want to kind of practice that transition by being real firm in the tempo you're on in the andante first movement and the allegro movement coming up. So that can be a nice contrast for everyone to hear when you start the allegro movement. Notice, again, dynamic contrast. Mezzo piano in the first line, going to mezzo forte. By measure 22, we have forte on the triplets, and that's all really important to do. Again, giving us the same kind of contrast that we had in that first movement, but it's all taking place a little faster. My suggestion is whenever you have the 16th note phrases, is to make sure that you practice those slowly and evenly. And I would make sure you have your metronome handy at all times so you can check where you're at as you go through the practice process. little by little, slower. And I always, just from my point of view, whenever I see 16th notes and I'm learning a piece, I'm doing it slower and softer, sometimes against the written dynamic for that particular passage, because it makes it a whole lot easier to get it down smoothly and accurately. And remember, anything that's played too fast and sloppy, there's one word in that phrase, and it's sloppy, that is not acceptable. So we want to be crisp as we get it together. So be patient with yourself. On the allegro movement, start slow. Try to make sure all those nice little items are in there on a musical level. And good practicing to all of you. Thank you.